my family's pretty conservative, especially on my mother's side, so I never really experimented growing up with fashion. I wore like clothes that my mom bought me because she wanted me to wear polos and khakis and just stuff I hated. Males in my family were very into sports, but not me. I was more into sort of artsy things and I guess you could say pretty things. Like I thought that was weird as a kid that I liked that kind of stuff, so I kind of kept it to myself for the most part. But wearing this fashion, I think it really helps me become the person that I feel like inside. Almost like kind of entering into a fairy tale whenever I wear it. I feel 100 times more confident and more comfortable.
I was born in Saudi Arabia. My mom is from Mexico and my dad is from Syria. So there was a big culture clash there, but they made it work. I am Muslim, so as a Muslim, it is required, I guess, to dress as modestly as possible. So like non-sleeves, nothing above the knees. So that's why Lolita Fashion really kind of hit home, because it's something that I could enjoy, that was part of the fashion to cover your shoulders, cover to your knees, and that it's very modest but girly and feminine. Before I began wearing Lolita, I never thought it was something I could do. I always saw like pictures and books on magazines and websites, and I never thought that it was something that other people outside of Japan could do. So when I first started, it was like a new adventure.
Before I discovered Lolita Fashion, I was slightly introverted. Lolita forced me into a new environment where I knew no one, but it made me kind of meet people and talk to people, whereas before, I think I probably would have stayed in my comfort zone and just done what my friends did. A friend of mine introduced me to it, and she taught me everything I know about Lolita, about the brands, what it is, all the different sub-styles, and we always saw it as this thing that was like a fantasy far off in Japan, like it didn't exist here.
The boutique itself is focused on Japanese street fashion. We created this boutique in hopes of having easier access to the fashion. But for me, being here, it's kind of like helping the newer Lolitas to spread the word of what Lolita Fashion is really about.
Almost all the time I have experiences where people don't know what Lolita is because, it's still a very unknown fashion style. People hear the word Lolita, they automatically think of the book. It has nothing to do with seducing a man or anything. It's just a cute fashion.
We get really, really, really upset and annoyed by people who see this as a fetish or a obscure culture.
The one that annoys me the most, which is, I guess, understandable also, is like people think it's a costume just because it looks so out there and out of the ordinary, but it's not a costume. It's just a very fancy, fashion style.
When I hear people say that I'm wearing a costume, I get kind of, sort of, a bit ticked off. To me, Lolita is definitely a lifestyle. So if a person says that it's a costume, they make me feel like I'm living in a pretend world. But I'm living in this world with everybody else, but I just choose to dress this way.
When people figure out that I am a guy, they usually generally ask, oh, did you lose a bet or are you a drag queen? And it's highly offensive, honestly, because they're implying that this is something so ridiculous and something so stupid and silly, when Lolita is very important to me. It's a part of who I am.
I have a twin sister. She is not very into it. She kind of thinks it's childish and that it's not what a normal girl should do, my age at least. And she's more recently trying to accept it though, so I'm very happy for that.
My family has always been really accepting of me dressing crazy even before Lolita, and so they're kind of used to it. They just all think it's fun, and at first, every time I'd walk downstairs in a full coordinate, they'd all be like, ooh, ah, and amazed, and It was always a positive thing, but now I don't even get any kind of reaction. They're just like, all right.
My parents have responded to my wearing Lolita really positively. They don't think it's weird or anything bad. My mom, she loves it. She thinks it's very cute. And my dad, he thinks it's cute too. Of course, he prefers this over like really low cut stuff and like booty popping out kind of thing.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to pick on her, but I guess for my mother, I was really trying to explain it to her. And she calmly, but she said it, she's like, but just like, don't you think that there's something creepy about that? Dressing that way, especially as a male? You know, just something off. So sometimes you get a little down on yourself, like, because, you know, I'm a guy and I'm dressing the way that I do. When I do get dressed and I put everything on and I just get in front of the mirror and look at myself, I feel 100 times more confident and more comfortable too. Just, I can talk to people easily. I think it really helps me become the person that I feel like inside.
I think you should be allowed to enjoy and love whatever you like, despite what you look like, how old you are, like how small or big you may be. It doesn't matter. If you love it, just be true to yourself and forget about those who hate it.
This is kind of hard for me to say, but before Lolita, just recently I've been recovering from an eating disorder. So Lolita has kind of taken my mind off of just what am I gonna eat, like I can't eat that, to what am I gonna wear. And so with Lolita, it's like I have a purpose, like I make a difference in my life and somebody else's life by making them happy, making myself happy, and it's an overall win-win.